It's episode 315 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture. I'm your host, Brian Barnett.
Can't forget that one. I am Sludgeco CEO, Chris Cornelise.
I'm Lucas White, and I know what half of the Tetraminos taste like now.
I'm tilting my head in confusion.
As my gamer fuel journey continues.
Ah, right.
Nice.
They have one for each of the different Tetris blocks.
Yeah, so I made an order recently because it was like BOGO, and that's when I kind of come in to replenish, and they did like a bonus. It was like, oh, you spent this much money, so here's a Tetris sampler. And it's like, it was a little baggie of like single servings for each color of block. And so I'm on the red C block right now. My Mega Man shaker cup. It's cool because Rush is kind of translucent, but since I've got the strawberry flavor, he's filled in red.
Perfect.
Very nice. But they're really cooking with those Tetris flavors. They've been really good so far. This one's like kind of strawberry, and it tastes really good. The green one was really good. Orange was kind of okay. But yeah, they're doing good stuff over there. As far as
sounds great.
Conceptualizing video game characters as energy drink flavors.
Yeah, sounds delicious, and my doctor will strictly forbid me from having it right now. So,
dang.
The idea for me is getting rid of coffee and replacing it with something like this.
With something that's like
slightly better.
Radioactive red.
Yeah.
Nice.
At the moment, my diet of liquids consists entirely of most of what I can eat is soup, and then also water with lemon juice. And that is it. That's all I have.
Nice.
Damn.
I drink water with orange juice a lot.
I would usually do that, but like at the moment, I'm like not allowed to eat very acidic stuff because reasons. Because again, my stomach is trying to escape through my mouth. So.
Gotcha.
No, not an exaggeration, by the way. It's kind of
I believe you.
We're hoping surgery is not involved, but we'll see.
Yeah. Wild. All right, well, let's talk about some stuff. There's been a lot of stuff going on.
Very busy weekend.
There was Key 3 to talk about.
Yes.
And all the variety of announcements and such, which I'm still trying to pass because most of it happens when I'm asleep. Yeah. So I get back and just like, oh god, bombarded by a backlog of chat and messages and everything, and say, okay, what looks cool? And then I miss most of it, but I've picked through some of it, and some of it looks interesting.
I didn't catch any of it live either, but I think I caught most of it. I didn't watch Ubisoft today, on purpose, because I just don't care.
Because fuck Ubisoft,
yeah. But there was
I
some
will play your Star
stuff.
Wars game because I'm a mark, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Then again, they did put out that another Prince of Persia just recently, didn't they? Is that out, or am I crazy? Not the Lost Crown, the other one, Rogue Prince of Persia.
I can't remember if that's out or almost out, or early access or something.
Let me see.
Because there was
to the internet I go.
It was like gonna come out, and then they were like, "Oh, not Hades," and then they didn't come out or something. I totally missed most of that, but I feel
looks like it is in early access.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Nice.
Decently well received too. But yeah, looks good. I'm glad the Prince of Persia is alive and kicking.
Same.
Yeah. The Sands of Time remake, I guess, is back on the.
I don't believe you.
Well, it's funny because apparently it was hit with a 2026 window today.
Yikes!
Which I think is one of
the first. They must have rebooted that at least twice at this point.
They have rebooted the reboot of the reboot. Yeah, that's got to be like one of the first games we've had with the 2026 thing slapped on it, to my immediate knowledge.
yeah, most things that like I'm sure plenty will be pushed back further, but most like not immediate things like 2025.
Yeah.
All of which I'm just staring at, and it's like, give me Monster Hunter, and the rest I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
So
Monster Hunter Wilds looks sick though.
Mum Jump in the chat coming in with a banger. U.S. men's cricket team defeated Pakistan in the World Cup. How long until EA makes a cricket game? People are making cricket games out there. They're just...
I can confirm there's a lot of them in Australia because Australia likes cricket.
Yeah.
You got to know what a crumpet is before you can play cricket.
What about the old sticky wicket? Do I have to know about that?
I don't know. That's just like the one part of the Ninja Turtles movie that's burned into my brain for life. Cricket.
Yeah, I imagine it'll probably be a few years at this point if they do it based on that, if they weren't already making one. But the fun answer is it'll be out tomorrow. It'll be a mobile game, and it'll be 99% microtransactions. And it'll print more money than God. It'll make more money than all of your favorite games that they've ever released combined.
And more than most other cricket games have.
Yes.
Yeah. Because very, very niche.
Yeah. It'll be a, you know what it'll be? It'll be one of those games. It'll be like a mix of like My Name is Mayo and like Asura's Wrath, but for cricket.
Jesus.
I don't know how many people there are out there who will get who will understand even what I just said.
Look, all you had to say was Asura's Wrath, and I'm just hearing Liam O'Brien screaming and beating the shit out of things, and it's like, this is glorious. This is all I need to know.
It's just going to be a tapper game, and then you're going to run out of crystals, and you're going to have to buy more crystals to tap with your cricket stick again. That's what it's going to be.
That's it.
Jesus.
We need to, Chris, clip this out, and I'll make a YouTube short out of it.
I can do that.
Just so we can tell the people what is actually coming, in the future of games.
Yeah.
That's a canon prediction.
This is a world premiere for Summer Games Fest.
Yes.
Coming at you live right now.
We need to have like that old Conan bit in the year 2000. We need to have that, but it's just like in the year 2000, games will be on your phone. We'll just do like those sorts of things. Like in the future, this will be what's going on. Anyways,
incredible.
I hope we answered your question, Mum Jum. I know. You know what? I don't have to wonder. I definitely answered your question, definitively. So, yeah, there you go. Episode 315. We're coming with our third eye is open.
So none of us were at SGF.
No.
And none of us watched all of the SGF content. But
I didn't watch literally any. I've only been
presumably
answering emails.
Yeah, between emails and just existing on the internet. I imagine we've got some highlights between us. So, Brian, give me like 3 games that have stood out to you that you've heard about so far.
So the problem with that question is that I don't know where any of this stuff came from, but it is just stuff that I have heard about or seen new updates of lately.
Perfect.
So in going through all of these things, there are a lot of games that are kind of resurfacing now that I've heard of before that I was already excited about.
That's fine too.
So like I just got an email about Neva, which is the follow-up from Nomada Studios to Greece. Still really amped about that. Hearing
that looked really cool.
Yeah, I love it. It's gonna be awesome. Also, the people who made Motion Twin, who made Dead Cells, are coming out with Tenjutsu, which is the
Yes, that was one of my highlights. Absolutely,
that
looks so good.
Red-haired Yakuza chick who's just beating the ever-loving F out of people. Just like, oh, it looks so good.
That one was the centerpiece of a little bit of discourse I saw, at least on Twitter.
Yes, I threw my hat in the ring on that
entirely.
one. I don't know if you saw it.
I missed it. No.
Nobody cared. Nobody cares what I think, but I did. Somebody was like,
Twitter hides you. You must be shadow banned. I swear to God, I never see your tweets.
I may be, but yeah, I might be shadow banned. That would be really funny if I was.
I saw your one about the Doom Cloak.
Oh, you saw that one? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did. There was a thing where people were quote tweeting. Somebody quote tweeted. Basically, somebody was like in all caps posting, the people who did Dead Cells are making a game where you're like a girl Yakuza badass who's just beating the crap out of everybody. And then oh yeah, here it is. Somebody quote tweeted and said, "Oh, what a cool cutscene! This looks fun." And then an arrow. It's another 2D pixel indie roguelike, and it's like the Joker from the animated series being like sad. And
Yeah.
I just copied what they said, quote tweeted the thing, and put the GIF from Uncut Gems of "This is how I win," because it's just like. What a cool cutscene. This looks fun. It's another 2D pixel indie roguelike. Yes, I'll take it.
Perfect.
Give me, take my money, damn it. You know.
It also happens to look awesome and looks like it plays like a combination of Dead Cells and Hotline Miami.
Yes, which is
and
exactly...
with a little bit of Like a Dragon sprinkled in. I'm like, fuck yes, give me.
Yeah.
That and the anime, like the cutscene itself, obviously there won't be many in-game that look like that, but like I love that classic anime style. It's like, beautiful. Love it.
The style's really good. I think it's wonderful. I did not like Dead Cells. Now, granted, I was soured on Dead Cells because of what happened around it at the outlet that I was working for at the time. But
oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah, but later on, particularly when the Castlevania update came out, I went back to it, and we talked about it on this show, and I really liked it. I liked it a lot. But I do think that as far as like game feel is concerned and like flexibility with the amount of stuff you can do and viability of all the stuff that you have, that still feels good. It is not... It had room to grow. I'll put it that way. There was definitely room to grow. There were some things, like particular setups that I would have in that game where I was like, this feels amazing. And then there were other things where I was like, this feels like really underbaked. That became less true as like the longer it came out because Motion Twin supported that game for a really long time. To where I think it ended up as one of the better Metroidvanias to exist because they could just basically do whatever they want with it, and it would work. So I'm really excited to see what they have learned from that, and then how that translates to the top-down gameplay of this game. So I'm very excited about that.
So is it actually Motion Twin making it, or is it somebody who left Motion Twin and went on to do this? Because I feel like at some point people who have worked on Dead Cells have like split up and vanished into the ether in all different directions and show up on multiple projects. Because I know Motion Twin is working on the other one. What's it called? Windbound or something like that. Something like that.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it looks like from Devolver. It's made by Deep Night Games, which is one of the developers.
I think the trailer said one of the designers of Dead Cells.
Yeah.
And they've certainly carried a lot of the DNA.
Yeah. If you look at the graphics,
100%.
It looks very, very, very Dead Cells. Yeah.
Yeah, I know there was a little bit of scuttlebutt when one of the ex-devs at Motion Twin, basically started complaining when they stopped supporting Dead Cells when they said, we're winding down development. and he had a problem with that, and then there was a little bit of discourse about that. But like, I assume that over time, because they've been working on that game so long, people who were at Motion Twin have just gone all over the place, and they just seem to be sprouting up across the industry. And whenever they do, what they make looks good. So I'm like, this is good.
Gotcha. Yeah. Appreciate you calling that out. So it is not made by Motion Twin. It is made by somebody who was on the team that made Dead Cells. Okay, that's good to clarify.
Yeah, just wanted to grab that.
So I dug that. I think Doom looks interesting.
Hell yeah, that's another one of mine.
Doom: The Dark Ages. I love the Captain America throw your shield and then it comes back to you and it just has a saw blade chainsaw on the rim of it and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. I don't know where this was shown, but Nobody Wants to Die also looks really interesting. I don't know if you guys saw this one. This is...
I think I missed that one.
You have to refresh me. I probably saw it.
This is like a time manipulation first-person mystery game. The thing, there's somebody hanging from a tree, and the tree has exploded, and this person is going back and turning back time, and trying to figure out what's going on. Basically, the idea is that I think one of the taglines is that immortality comes at a price or something.
Okay.
But yeah, looks interesting. I'm interested to check it out. Again, don't know. I just was making notes based on the stuff that I was getting emails about. And then, Indiana Jones, I think, looks good. That looks pretty cool. Let's see. What else? Pedal Runner looks cool. Tides of Tomorrow looks cool. There's a bunch of other stuff.
I've probably forgotten more cool stuff than I remember because I'm terrible like that.
Yeah. I think Fragpunk looks kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. Didn't see that one either.
Wait. Is that the one? Wait, which one is the one? Is Fragpunk the one? Hold on. It's like a team shooter. Yeah. It's Fragpunk. Yeah, so it's a 5v5 shooter, and you get these cards.
How original, daring today, aren't we?
Yeah, and you break the cards and it changes the rules of the world. So there's a death card and you break it and the Grim Reaper shows up behind the person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then there's gravity and it switches the whole map upside down. Stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. You know,
5v5 with Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced logic. Cool.
I mean, or it's
judge cards.
What is it? Lawbreakers?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that. Except with to my eyes, more style, or a style that I vibe with more. But yeah, that's by oh my god, not Tencent, NetEase, I think.
Good old
and
NetEase.
You've lost me.
Yeah. Actually, is it? Hold on.
I know another one that was getting a lot of mention.
It is. Yeah, it's NetEase. So I'm but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, another one that looked interesting and was getting a lot of mentions was Slitterhead, I think.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, everyone was so ooh, that looks dope as hell. And it does. It looks weird and fucked up and horrifying and cool as shit, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I saw some people bummed out that it wasn't more of a capital H horror game because it's Silent Hill people making it or whatever, but it's
if he doesn't want to make that kind of game, then we know he's got a pedigree. It's let him cook.
Yeah, they're taking kind of the vibes and putting it in a different kind of genre setting, and man, it looks cool. Just I remember one part in the trailer where the guy gets his hand cut off, and then you see the blood go out and snatch the hand back from the air. It was oh, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Body horror action game. Sign me up.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty messy.
For me, there were I want to say 3 or 4 standouts. Chris, did you have any others you wanted to shout out? I know you had some overlap with Brian.
Pretty much most of mine overlap with Brian. So aside from Slitterhead, that's all I really got at the top of my head. Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I think like my number one, as silly as it sounds, is Power Rangers Read or Rewind.
Okay, no,
Oh, I
I
haven't
accept
seen
this. I accept this.
Yeah, so the this is from Digital Eclipse, and oh my god, I want to say also people who worked on the Ninja Turtles game that came out recently.
The
Um,
mutant mayhem tie-in.
sorry, Shredder's Revenge, is that what it's called? I keep
Yeah,
forgetting.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shredder's Revenge is
Um,
amazing.
yeah, so this is a multiplayer 2D beat 'em up with the Power Rangers.
Oh, Rita's Rewind.
And it,
Okay.
yeah, Reader's Rewind, and it just looks absolutely unhinged. I have a lot of memories of playing Power Rangers on the Super Nintendo, and it was like a beat 'em up, but way more like kind of reined in and slower, and licensed
As was the
gamey.
style of the time, yeah.
Yeah. But this one looks way more like it has the energy of Shredder's Revenge. Plus, it's got like a bunch of crazy looking mini games. Like there's one where they're on like a roller coaster. There's like looks like some like shooting gallery gimmicks going on, and then just like the basic gameplay looks very similar, but way more like superpowers and stuff. It just looks really well made, and I'm so excited for another game like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see. I don't know if I can actually do this. I wanna get a setup where I can just like pull up videos, because I'm like, oh, I haven't seen this video. Let me pull it up so I can show like the viewers or the listeners or whatever. But I don't know if I can actually do that.
Just plug it in the fourth slot.
Yeah, but then it would like cut off Lucas.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could do that.
You can cut me off for a minute. It's fine.
No, it's definitely something that can be done. I just don't think we have the current setup for it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks really cool. There's like parts where you've got like the robots. There's like 2D animated cutscenes that look kind of janky, but that's fine.
take what you can get with this, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely, like Power Rangers has kind of been in and out of games for a few years now. Some ways more awkward than others. That fighting game was really good, but around then it's just been a bunch of like crappy mobile games. Yeah, it's cool to see that.
Yeah, wasn't expecting it. Looks cool. Heard the theme song.
Exactly.
I'm like, wow, I'm like 10 years old again.
Right.
I figured out how
Next
to do
for me. Oh, really? All right, yeah,
Yeah.
throw it in there if you want. Let me see if I can.
Oh my lord.
You have the
Oh
power.
yeah. This looks like
Trying to find in the trailer if it shows the digital clips and
God, this song is such a banger.
It is.
maybe I just made up the part where it's the same people that made the Turtles game.
I mean, it looks like
really
it.
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steam is only listing digital.
Oh
clips,
man,
so-
it's got like a first-person sections.
Yeah, it looks wild.
Yeah, this looks really good.
So usually with beat 'em ups, you've got like sometimes you got like the auto scrolling thing, or sometimes you got like the elevator stage, and this one's just like, what if we just took that energy and came up with new ways to like mess around?
We will fuck around and we will find out.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So there was another game that showed up during SGF that really took me off guard, and it is called Claire Obscure
Yes.
Expedition 33.
Yes.
I don't think I saw that one.
All right, Mum
Yeah,
Jum.
I was-
If you're hold on, just one second. Mum Jum.
Yeah.
If you actually saw that Power Rangers trailer in the show, please tell me, because if that worked, then I now have a setup. I just did it during the show, and I've got one.
Hell yeah.
So if we've got Expedition 33, I think this game looks awesome. This is one of the ones I just didn't want to go on for 22 games.
Yeah. So I was like barely paying attention to the stream, and then this came on, and it was kind of generic looking at first. I was like, okay, this is like a CG trailer. There's some scruffy looking white people all looking kind of grimacy at each other. Like, all right, this is a video game.
Not yet rated.
And then it like cuts to this like Lost Odyssey looking turn-based combat with all this like stuff happening on the screen, and I was just like, yo, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I got
the UI in battle looks vaguely Persona, but with its own style, and it's like, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
it's also
like
a
I really got
messed up
these
premise.
like Lost Odyssey, Mistwalker from like 10 whatever years ago vibes from it.
Before they got stuck in the mobile mines, yeah.
Yeah, and it just has this like they're doing the thing where it's like turn-based combat but with different verbs, and it almost looked like that changes based on which character is acting. I could be wrong, but they really seem to like focus on one of the characters when they did like counterattacks. It was really hard to tell, and I'm not familiar with the developer, so I don't know if this is like their first game or not. But that's certainly their only listed game on Steam. Sandfall
Interactive, yeah.
But yeah, like the voice acting sounded really good. The premise
here's the
started to
gameplay
get
that
really weird.
Lucas is talking about. Yeah, the menus are super stylized. You've also got like a Legend of Dragoon style like follow up for attacks and stuff, which is, I dig that.
Yeah, one guy has a gun, and it looks like you kind of control that a little bit. But yeah, it just looks really neat, and I would love to like get my hands on that and kind of hope that it like feels as good as it looks.
Yeah, this is one of those where it's just like, this is kind of along the same vibes for me as like Metaphor ReFantazio, except it's with a team that it hasn't proven themselves to me. You know what I mean? Whereas it's like...
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Metaphor ReFantazio I know is going to be good. Because it's made by the people who made Persona 3, 4, 5. Like, you know what I mean? So...
Yeah.
They've been cooking on it for a while. Like, they announced Project Refantasy like years and years ago, and we thought it was vaporware for a while, and then this popped out, and it's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And it looks sick, and and that was another thing that caught my attention. It's like a new trailer for Metaphor. It's like, yes, I am already on board, but I am more on board. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was another thing about this that really stood out to me is it's very like unpretentious about it being like a JRPG kind of thing, because a lot of times you'll have something like Sea of Stars or whatever will come out and it'll be like, we're doing the thing that's not being done anymore, or we're doing this genre but better. And this game didn't even really bring attention to the fact that it was like,
it is what it is, and it is this.
Yeah. I was just like, it just grabbed my attention because it wasn't talking shit. It was just like, here's this game, and here's the stuff we're doing with it, and that's why you should pay attention.
Yeah.
It seems to have a really cool setting. Yeah, just like, in just total surprise for me in terms of like something coming out of nowhere and grabbing my attention.
It's pretty wild to have a premise where a witch is asleep for the entire year and then wakes up to Thanos people. Like just 1 year, one age at a time. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. It's like...
Yeah.
Also, what number did she start with? Like, how long has it taken you guys to do something about this?
Presumably 33 of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely...
But she's counting down, and she just got to 33. So it's like, what did she start with? Did she start with 100? And you guys haven't done anything yet? Now she's killing, like, really young people, so now you're gonna do something about it? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
It's interesting.
Yeah, definitely gonna wish list that.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh, it's calling me out directly too on the Steam right now, and it's like, is this relevant to you? It's similar to Dragon Quest XI and Shin Megami Tensei 3. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, yep,
Yeah.
you got them.
Yep.
You got them.
That is Expedition 33, and then I had another game, I think. I had stuff lined up in my tabs, and then I opened extra tabs, and now I'm a mess.
How could you?
Oh yeah,
War
so
against tabs continues.
one game that I was surprised to be interested in is the new Gears of War.
Oh, I have not seen anything about this yet.
Oh,
Yeah. Normally, like, these games just kind of exist to me. And, you know, it's like a big AAA shooter. But then I guess when the trailer played, and it's just kind of like, we're going back to the beginning. Here's Marcus Phoenix and Dom. And normally there's a lot made of, like, the impact of those characters and, like, how those games are like it's sad, and then they have real big boy problems, and that wasn't really didn't really hit me at the time. But like looking at Gears of War compared to what happens now in shooters, it's like those games were trying to be more, and that genre is just less and less lately. So like I feel like there's a lot of room for a new Gears of War
Yeah.
right now.
yeah.
Especially.
It was ubiquitous at the time, and it was like
Yeah.
at the top of that style of third-person cover shooter. And then
Mhm.
it got oversaturated, and everyone drifted away from it. But it's still trucking, and it's like nowadays it almost feels fresh and quaint because we don't get that style as much.
This is
Exactly.
one of those situations where I am really glad that the one that survived is actually the good one.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of times where like as far as like immersive sims go, like my favorites have gone away. Like they're not here anymore. The ones that I don't like are the ones that survived. With turn-based tactics games, the ones that I loved are the ones that stopped being made. The ones I don't like are the ones that survived, you know. For Gears, it's like for a third-person cover-based shooter, I'm pretty sure Gears has just always been the best. Like depending on what you're going for, but for what it does, I think Gears is definitely the one that set the standard for like feel. Like how many games took active reloads from Gears of War? Like so many.
Quite a few.
So many games.
Still doing that in the games.
Still, because you know what? Because it's still good. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Active reloads, Legend of Dragoon / whatever style. Now Sea of Stars has brought it forward. You know that level of like
Or even the Mario
interactivity.
RPGs.
Mario RPG. Yeah, I always forget about that one because I haven't played them yet. But yeah, like those sorts of things, it's like, yeah, it's a good idea. If you're doing a menu-based thing, making it so that you can interact and do like more stuff in the game, like makes it more fun, makes it more engaging. And so, yeah. And like the Snap 2 cover sort of stuff that Gears did is always the best. Like there have been so many cover-based games where it's just like, yeah, you're just kind of loosey-goosey and there's not really a way to know if you're safe. Whereas, like in Gears, it's like, oh, I'm gonna slam my shoulder up against this wall, and you
feel it.
I'm locked
it's
in.
visceral.
Yeah, it's
I'm
just like
locked in.
bam, and there's like dust and particles everywhere.
Your roadie run,
And also
all that
like
sort of stuff.
the storytelling aspect of Gears of War, I think, like it's not gonna like usurp anything that's like really good in my eyes. But they put a lot of effort into it in a way a lot of games don't, especially in that
It
genre.
matters
And
to
like,
them.
yeah, and I feel like a lot of times it's like, oh, it's the origin or it's the prequel or whatever. Like, who gives a shit? Like, why is this necessary? But I feel like Gears of War is like, at the very least, there's going to be a lot of like really big and like impactful like set piece kind of moments from that. Like it's a setting that I feel like there's a lot of juice to still you can like wring out of that.
To the squeeze, yeah. And I feel like Gears has done all. I feel like the Gears thing, a lot of times there's two different ways that things can go. Actually, there's three. There's probably more than that, but whatever. We're just going to keep it simple for now. There is stuff that is greater than the sum of its parts. which is nothing is truly remarkable individually. Like none of the aspects are like defining revolutionary things, but put together, they all just serve a singular purpose and raise it up to another level. I don't know if that would also fall under like the sort of quintessence, like idea or whatever, which is something that is a thing that has quintessence is something that is fundamentally itself, like a like of a piece. When something is of a piece, like that's what that is.
Right.
There are also a lot of things that are less than the sum of their parts, which is like on paper this should be awesome, but something about this is just not right. Whether like parts of it disagree with other parts, or whether it just is it's just missing some spark that's not there. I feel like Gears of War has basically always been greater than the sum of its parts. Like,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Absolutely.
It feels really good, and they do a lot with a little. Like speaking about Marcus and Dom, like Gears of War does emotional storytelling in a way that very few games do, and they're not even working with that much.
Yeah, they're really not.
It's like if you were to look at what is Gears of War about, like if you look for like a plot point by plot point, like it's just go here, shoot thing, but they made it resonant because they added story beats and they hired really great voice talent to give life to the lines. I mean, like, come on, like Marcus Phoenix is Jake the dog, is Bender, is like this is one of the great voice actors of
John DiMaggio, yeah, and it's a fantastic performance. Like, really, it helps sell it.
And I think everybody else does a really great job too. Like I think Kate is good. I think his son JD is good. I think that Barrett is really good. Coltrane, one of the greats. Like, come on.
True.
Yeah, his moment in 3 was just like, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new trailer I think does a really good job selling the premise in terms of like here's the prequel and here's why it's valuable. It's like a lot of Gears of War is like it's already all the apocalypse stuff has happened, and so it's like the pretty typical like, oh, here's all the ruins and everything. You sort of get hints of like before, and a lot of the set pieces are really like over the top, like in terms of like, oh, here's the Donna Hammer stuff, here's like the giant things that you fight. And the trailer for this
the corpsers or whatever.
Yeah. So Phoenix is just fighting one locust guy, like hand to hand, and like in like a house or something, and it's just like this really nasty like slobber knocker back and forth, and he just barely manages to like survive, and then like Dom helps him up, and it's like, oh, there's Dom, but then they kind of like look off frame, and it cuts to basically just this massive glowing red hole in the ground, and it's just like, oh shit, that's actually like pretty impactful somehow, even though it's like an obvious thing. But it's
like
just
the hammers
imagining
have
like
just fallen,
yeah. So just imagining seeing like all the kind of like technology and stuff that is just part of the regular like world in the games, to the point, seeing that sort of like in progress, but then like immediately being disrupted by the locust stuff, and seeing people having to like react to it for the first time and everything, just with all the established weight to it already. I think like there's a good chance for that to be like really effective.
And they know what they're doing.
Looking forward to seeing that. Yeah.
Like Gears of War is one of those series where if you're on the outside looking in, and I was this for the longest time, it's like, it looks like meathead cover shooter, very visceral. It's like everyone talks it up, it's very good or whatever. And the moment you get into it, or the moment you look into it, you're like, wow, there is a story, there are characters, there is well done writing, drama, all of that. It's like there is a reason this series has persisted. There is a reason it's at the top of its genre. It's because they let it cook. They put everything that they put into that game mattered to a point. And so it's been able to elevate itself along its peers, or people try, or contemporaries that tried and failed to do what it did. So that's why it's so resonant, and I respect the hell out of that. Like, Yeah, I didn't think it was for me, and then I saw it, and then I dabbled in Gears Tactics or whatever was when I actually got my introduction. I've been meaning to go back through the entire thing,
Nice.
but I've since
Super
studied
recent.
it and gone, wow, yeah, this is awesome.
They're good,
Nice.
and it is pretty easy to like play co-op with people, even over the internet. Like I think
Yeah.
Chris Shriver and I played through like Gears 5 together, Gears 4, Gears 5 together over the internet when it came to like PC. Because it was.
They need to put the rest of the trilogy on the original trilogy. I don't think is all on PC. I think they have a remake of 1, and then 4 and 5 are on PC. And it's like, give me the rest.
Yeah.
I will play all of them. Just give me.
Yeah, because 2 and 3 are good. 2 and 3 are really good. The ending of 3 is really good.
Whichever one they put Batista in is the one I played multiplayer for a little bit. Yeah, give me that Batista bomb.
That's 5, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, also, like, another thing, apparently the trailer, when you get around to watching it, is entirely done with in-game assets, which is just crazy.
Nice.
When you look at it, it's all like Unreal 5, and they were like, they're hitting that so hard, they actually went after Jeff Keighley on Twitter and made him edit his tweets about it. So,
Damn.
yeah. So this could be a pretty big deal, like, technologically as well.
Which is,
I believe it's called E-Day, Gears of War E-Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have the trailer like right in front of me. I was just not. I just wasn't playing it because you were talking. Although I guess I could.
Perfect name for a prequel for that series.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, keep that in mind about like the assets and stuff when you watch it.
Let me.
And I've got one more game I want to mention.
Before you do that, we got some chat.
Yeah,
we got some chat.
yeah.
Polar Knights in the chat brings back an absolute classic. I love this show. It's the perfect evolution of beard growth.
Oh my god, it's true.
It's true. It's always been true. It will probably be true for a very long time. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't remember what I look like without this, so I'm not getting rid of it anytime. I'd be too scared.
Yeah.
Angle's great for me for vicarious living because it doesn't change beyond this. It's just like it's a wasteland out here. It just stops. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can.
You can go either way.
You are the divergent evolution path. You know.
Yeah.
It's like if you level up Lucas during the day, he turns into Brian. During the night, he turns into me. Yeah. This is how it goes.
Oh man.
But yeah, what was the last game you had for us? I listened to the chat. Sorry. I don't think
so. Another thing that stood out to me in general, or that seemed interesting at least, was Blumhouse Games kind of doing their debut. Yeah. Blumhouse is everyone's favorite indie horror conveyor belt that actually like cooks sometimes. And I guess they're jumping into games now, and they have like their whole thing is like, yeah, we're gonna subvert games in the sense of like everything having to be like huge and big, whatever. We're gonna like take risks, and we're gonna put out a few games at once and try different things. Just doing the Blumhouse thing, but with video games, and seeing how that works out in that business sense, which could be really cool.
I definitely think there's a space for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they showed several games, but the one that stood out to me is called Grave Seasons. And, you know, in the past several years, we've seen the quote-unquote capital C cozy thing kind of become a new genre or buzzword or selling point or what have you.
Absolutely. I got a bunch of emails about cozy games.
Yeah, that's just the new thing. It's like you can't just be like, oh, it's a farming sim. It's like, no, it's a cozy game.
Yeah.
So Grave Seasons is kind of a corruption of that. It looks like it's a very like prototypical kind of indie farmy game, except if you look at a collection of screenshots, one of them has a like horrifically maimed corpse in it, and there's blood all over the screen. And that really stood out to me. Because I always love when you kind of take a familiar thing that's like very bright and colorful and you mess with it in some horrible way. B, it also really reminds me of one of my favorite horror games, Corpse Party, in the way that it takes very like small, very unthreatening pixel art and manages to make it look really fucked up. Because that's actually hard to do well. A lot of times you'll see like someone's like, "Oh, here's my Pokemon ROM hack," but it's got zombies in it, and it just looks really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, "Oh, here's my sprites, but I put in like blood and bones sticking out and stuff. It looks bad." But there are artists out there who can do that and make it actually look kind of, disturbing or off-putting in some way. Corpse Party is that for me in a big way, and that was made in like RPG Maker back in like the early 2000s or something. And this kind of gives me similar vibes, where it's just really well done, really messed up, nasty horror pixel art. But it also seems to have like a lot of like still normal emphasis on being like a farm sim with character relationships and all those other kinds of stuff you'd expect to see in that genre normally. It looks like they still put a lot of effort into that. So it looks really interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. And that is Grave Seasons. So yeah, I think...
interesting.
Yeah. I think aside from like some of the obvious things, like of course I'm excited about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, obviously. Stuff like that. I think those were kind of...
we're contractually obligated to do so at this point.
It's like, oh, your pre-order bonus is 6 characters, but it's really only 2 characters. We are so back.
Yeah.
How many flavors of Goku do we have today? Yes.
Yes, all of them. It's like normally in a Dragon Ball game, if there's 50 Gokus, maybe I'm a little disappointed. But if it's a sparking game, I know that's exactly what I want to see. Yeah, that's it for me for SGF. I think so many games.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of stuff, a lot of potentially interesting things going forward,
and Ubisoft,
and then Ubisoft. We'll play Star Wars Outlaws, and that's about it. And that's not for, and that's begrudgingly.
Could turn out to be good. Who knows?
It looks better now than it did in some of the earlier trailers. That's for sure. So, well, we'll see.
Wild stuff.
Indeed.
I definitely want to see more Doom Dark Ages. So that looks so good.
Put his skull into the skull crushing gun.
Yeah.
It must be done.
Is it going to be more like lore with a capital L, or is it going to be like...
Is it going to be Doom?
Kind of. I assume it's going to be more prequel to that. So, that seems to be the assumption of where the Slayer, picked up in it. But there will be more lore, capital L, I'm sure, because they did that. And frankly, I enjoyed that. Like, it was kind of neat to see, although, it didn't get too much in the way of, the absurdity and, shooting a hole in Mars, etc. Like, that shit was still there. The gameplay is still great. And then they had this going on in the background. I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm fine with this. Yeah, I'm fine to let this cook.
I'm very interested to see if it's going to be more 2016 or more Eternal. Because of where it is in the timeline, it would make sense for it to be more like the original Doom or 2016 than it would be Eternal. But we'll see. The people who love Eternal really love Eternal. I'm just not one of them. So
yeah,
I'm torn on the two. Like, they both have their strengths, and
I just want it to be Doom. And Doom Eternal is not very Doom. That's not very Doom of you, bro.
I do like the fuzzy cloak. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I posted about that. They should have... It's a crime that they didn't let us play Halo 5 with the Master Chief in a cloak and a poncho. Like, that's... Why tease me with that? You know what I want to see. If that was just to hide his whatever, then, like... I don't know. That's disgusting. I love a good cloak. Put a tattered cloak on anyone. That's why Vincent Valentine is like the coolest character in Final Fantasy VII. He's got a tattered cloak. He's haunted. He's transforms into monsters. Like, come on. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, like, Capcom was like, man, we really messed up thinking Bass was going to be a really cool character. What can we do to salvage that? Tattered cloak.
Tattered cloak,
Hell
baby.
yeah.
Even Proto Man has one of those. Kind of. Or it's just the world's longest bandana.
Yeah, Battle Network Bass is
Primo.
I mean, and the Mohawk. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
You guys aren't ready for this but your kids are going to love it.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways.
And then they never made another Mega Man game again.
I'm waiting for Mega Man 12. Like, what the hell?
For a series that is so prolific and that has, at times of history just churned shit out, it's remarkably quiet. And I mean, fair. If there's no one there who is interested or willing or financially incentivized to work on it, then fine. But I just hope whoever does, eventually pick it up goes, yeah, I really want to do this.
No, Chris, it's not.
And I will forever mourn Legends 3. Even if Inafune was a fraud.
Honestly, it's like one of the world's biggest injustices how like poorly Mega Man actually does when you look at just the numbers.
And just how iconic and prolific it is. Like, there's so many of them. And most of them slap.
Why don't people actually show up for these games? They're so good.
They are.
Jesus Christ.
They are, yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways.
I mean, the true missing Capcom franchise for me is still just bring back Breath of Fire, you cowards. But,
Oh my god, please. Don't leave it as whatever 6 was.
Yeah. The fact that they numbered it is kind of like the death knell of that entire series.
You motherfuckers.
Here is a bad early mobile game, and it's called 6, and it's like, yep, that's the franchise dead right there. And so it was.
It's also it makes the I believe there's a little bit of shared creative DNA in Monster Hunter stories too. Mm-hmm. You can kind of tell when you look at that game a little bit, and it's just like cool, but it's painful at the same time.
It's like, yeah, I want that. That's cool. I'm glad you're doing that, but like, can you maybe make the protagonist blue-haired with a side character with wings, please?
Just a little bit of dragons in there. Come on,
as a treat. I maintain that Breath of Fire 4 is criminally underrated. So yeah.
Oh, it's so good, so good,
so damn good. Oh well. But yeah, so that's looking forward in the industry. So what have we been actually playing this week, I suppose?
Well, for me, I don't have a lot to talk about. I've been playing Balatro. I've been inching my way towards the 100%. I'm getting fairly close. Actually,
I am getting no closer, but I'm still chipping away at it.
Yeah, it's
Ribnax is playing Balatro. Thank you, Steam.
It is let me see. Oh, I guess I can't.
Yeah, I'm still working on
I can't look when I'm in the middle of a run. Anyways, I have like 3 or 4 decks left, and every other one I've gotten gold stake win with. So I've done all the challenges except for 3.
I'm the exact same. Which ones haven't you done?
I have not done I have not done like the last 3 or
the Jokerless one.
Yeah, I have not done that one. I've not done the last 2, and then I haven't done the one that's like 5th from the end. But yeah. Yeah,
the 3 I haven't done are all over the place. I think I haven't done the X-ray one because that one's annoying as fuck.
Which one is that?
The one where half your cards are drawn face down.
Oh, yeah. I beat that one.
Yeah, I'm sure it's doable, but it's the kind of thing where it's like you need to get the jokers in place where you don't have to care what you're playing. So it's just like high card, done.
That one I think I won on the first attempt. I just got really lucky. Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, it hasn't happened to me
I just
yet.
got like all the right stuff and it just worked. Yeah. And then there's some other ones. The one that was hard for me was the escalation one, where it's like every time you buy something, everything else gets more expensive.
Yeah.
I saw somebody talk about like, get like Vagabond or something that generates cards that you can sell, because every time the price goes up on things, the sell value goes up too. So then it's like, okay, so then Temperance gets way better because everything's worth a ton. And like, if you have something that generates a thing each round, then like if your Joker's up to be like $20, well, it's like you could sell every one of those every round and get $20 more and then just buy, like do whatever. That just kind of breaks it up. But I never got that, but I just like made it through anyways. But yeah, that's what I've been doing on that. That's just when I'm trying to like vibe, but I'm getting to the point where like the stuff that I have yet to do in this game is so hard that like sometimes it's not super fun. So
it's RNG. You got to get the setup. Yeah. It's not like any build will do. It's like, no, I need a specific build. And I've done that build before, and it's very, it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. And it's like, the thing that sucks is, and so I found a content creator called Autumn on YouTube, and they're saying basically the thing that they like isn't chasing high scores. They like to play on white stake and just get their win rate as high as possible. And they have like a 90% win rate or something like that, like playing on white stake. And I'm like, that sounds fun. And then I tried doing it and I was like, this doesn't do anything for me. Like the thing for me is like getting those runs. And then I like chasing, like the stuff that I like doing isn't necessarily the most stable stuff. The most fun stuff is like retrigger. Like the thing that I posted on Twitter, that's the stuff I love doing. But that is like way harder to build towards. And it's
so difficult. That's the only reason I haven't pulled it off and haven't gotten like the last Joker unlocked, is because it requires so much setup and a lot of luck.
Yeah. And it's one time, like that time when I posted that clip, that was one where like I didn't even start doing that until like ante 5. Like I just happened upon like a red seal, and I put it on whatever I put it on. And then like I happened on a chariot, and then I happened to pull the red seal on that. And then I happened to pull like a DNA, and it was just like, okay, I guess I'm just doing this. And then I happened to pull like these. It was just like one of those things where it was just like, I did one thing. I kind of like jumped out on that ledge. It supported me for long enough for me to get like really lucky with other stuff. And then I was like, all right, we're doing it. We're pulling the trigger on it. But most of the time, it doesn't work that way, and your whole thing falls through, and you don't generate enough score to continue past like ante 6 or 7, and then you just die,
Yeah, or the boss blind ends up being the wall. It's like, well, run's over.
Or it'll be the one where it'll be the eye, where that's the one that killed me more than any. And it's like, I think there was one where like I was cooking. I had everything I needed to beat the game. I got the eye, which is you cannot play the same hand twice, but this is specifically only a high card build. So I play high card, then I play high card again, and then I get triple bonus from card sharp. But like this one boss ability wouldn't let me do that. It just wouldn't count any of my scores.
And if you don't have the reroll ability by that point, it's like, game's over.
If you don't have Luchador Choker that you can sell, or you don't have Director's Cut, then you're just fucked.
Or the legendary, yeah.
Yeah, or the legendary where it just like disables the boss ability, which is cool. But it's like, how often are you going to get a soul card? Like not very often.
Nearly enough.
And I've only gotten that one twice. So it's like, yeah, it's ridiculous. So
I think 50% of the time I get a soul card, it's the one that creates the negative consumables.
Oh, Perkio? Nice.
Yeah, I get them an absurd amount compared to the rest.
That's like, if you have the right setup, that is like
super good.
Maybe one of the most powerful ones.
Oh, absolutely. It's just like, cool, give me death and yep, done.
Yeah. Because then you can do like so much with that. You can just
it's an amazing enabler.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. I really like York. By the time I get to the end of the game, I have like times 13 molds on him.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, it's so good. But anyways, not to talk about Balatro again, but it is an incredible game. I'm getting to the point where it's like, I think I may actually start playing other stuff on Steam Deck. Like I have been playing through, actually, what time is it? It's an hour. Let me see. Just make a note because I'm going to switch topics real quick.
Mm-hmm. You should play Inkbound with me if you're looking for something in that vein.
I mean, sure, yeah, we can do that. I'm interested. But also, I have taken some time to friend of the show and previous guest host Cam Hawkins did me a solid. And
did he follow through on his threat?
Yes, he did.
I know where this is going.
Me too. It's beginning.
He got me the Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. And
he got you the best video game with the most unfortunate acronym of all time.
The most fortunate.
The most fortunate. If you are a person who is a tits fan, you know.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Tilo Tits. The best in the business.
Okay.
So I'm the bright kids. So
hell yeah.
I'm having a good time.
How far are you into that?
Not super far. I think I'm just in like the second chapter.
Okay.
The dad left on business. We're doing his odd jobs that he left behind. Yeah. And I think I'm about
getting your bracer on.
I think I'm about to do the last one.
Okay.
So yeah. Like few hours in, I think. Something like that. Let me see. I downloaded so many games actually onto my Steam Deck. I downloaded way more games on my Steam Deck.
It's funny because like just a few hours doesn't sound like a lot, especially for a game that's like 1 million hours long. But those characters make a really good first impression.
Oh yeah.
That's what pulled me through. Like, yeah, okay. So I'm 2.5 hours in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I already have a very good feel for Estelle and Joshua. And
it's remarkable.
Estelle is one of the best protagonists in like the genre, straight up.
Yeah.
And that becomes very clear very early. So
yeah, she rocks. She rocks. And yeah, I'm a bracer now. It's very interesting to be on this side of things, considering I started with Trails from Zero, where like you are explicitly super not a bracer. You know, because you're with a triple S.
You're a cop.
It's like the cops are trying to become or build a bracer thing as an experiment, and you are, you know, explicitly getting the shit kicked out of you by the higher ups, and it's like, yep, you're still doing the right thing though.
Yeah, and that like because of that, it's like I love Lloyd and Tio, and you know I've got a little Mishi in the next room that Riley likes to play with, and it's interesting to go from that to this. It is funny because I did see somebody talk about like they love like how old this game looks. That's like the one thing I don't love about it. Like I'm fine with it. Like I'm not gonna like, but like when I was playing like Trails from Zero or whatever, it's like, okay, yeah, this looks like a PS1 RPG because it is basically.
Because it was a PSP game.
Yeah. And then it's like, that's fine, but that's like an aesthetic I put up with, not one I like. So
yeah, that's kind of the cool thing. And the like unfortunate thing about Falcom is like they're the only Japanese developers basically at the time that were like making PC games. It's like PC games of that sort of vintage have a very specific kind of look.
Yeah.
And most of those games don't get localized partially for that reason. So it's like seeing
took a
that
very
style,
long time
yeah.
before they started backfilling the Trails catalog, which is why, Trails from Zero, it's like first in English. That wasn't a fan translation like just a couple of years back. It's like,
Yeah.
It's because sickos like us, happen to get in there and go, yo, this series rules, give us the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the amount of work under the hood needed to get those games translated and ported is just like absurd. Because like running Japanese PC games from the early 2000s is just a nightmare. on any
because they ran on
non-Japanese
completely
hardware.
different architecture, right?
Yeah.
It's like the PC 98's and such a different beast entirely to a typical Windows machine.
Yeah. So it's definitely something you kind of have to get used to if you're not prepared for it, for sure.
Yeah, and now it's like I'm looking at screenshots from Trails into Daybreak, and it's like I want to play this one, you know what I mean? But it's like I can't,
Oh yeah, like Cold Steel onwards will be more to your aesthetic style, at which point it looks like an actual PS2 game instead of a PS1 game. So
yeah, so it's very interesting, but
the writing more than makes up for the looks of it, and that's always been the case with those. Like there is no other series that has remained as consistent and in-depth with its world building, its characters, and its story arcs as that series. Most games don't last that long. Most games don't last that long, and those that do are like, Final Fantasy, the individual titles that don't have that connective tissue.
Yeah.
To have kept going as the Legend of Heroes series for however long, and to be like to have Estelle in Trails of the Sky consistent and understandable, and you can follow the progression through to when she shows up in Cold Steel 4, it's like, this is fucking incredible. There is this was a highlight to me of like the latest Like a Dragon. It got to that point. It's like we're at like 8 games in the main thing now, and Kiryu is at that level of development. Let's have him reflect on that. And that's part of why I love that game. And it's like, Trails has been doing that, and there's no other series with that kind of like connective lineage. Yeah. And that makes up for more than anything else about that series, and I adore it for it.
If I recall correctly, Estelle and Joshua show up in Trails from Zero.
They do.
But yeah, and it's just like I had no idea who they were. And now it's like, oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, by that point they are established because they have been through the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool because it's not only like like nods or Easter eggs or whatever, and it's not like, oh, you follow the same group of people over X amount of games. It's like there is this world, and there are different continents with different like government systems, and they all have their own problems and things that are happening. And then it's like this series is just like, okay, this one's set in this region, this one's set in this region, this one's set in this region. But then they like connect everything that's happening, and like things that happen will affect because of global commerce and
because like Erebonia is usually the ones fucking everything up. And then you play as an Erebonian. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. And it's just like you have that impact across other series, and it's like they kind of do stand alone, but at the same time, like the way they sort of build the bigger picture is like, it's also weirdly easy to follow. Like someone like me will often like just sort of ignore the like background lore and world building and stuff because it's just too much for me to keep track of. But in these games, it's just like, oh, okay, yeah. Just
they do a very good job of putting it front and center without being so overbearing or exposition heavy. So you just get a feel for it gradually as it goes, and it becomes very clear. Like I remember the exact turning point because I tried Trails in the Sky first, didn't quite click with it, and then for whatever reason I picked up the first Trails of Cold Steel, and that was where I connected with it. And I've since played all the Cold Steels that have been just very slowly going back through the rest and going forward.
Cold Steel is where I wanted to start, and then I had several people be like, you can't start there.
You can start there, but I would still recommend not doing so. It is better for doing the homework.
Yeah.
But but at the same time, there were playing through Cold Steel. It's like, okay, I'm guessing some of these characters and things is like this would be familiar to others, not to me, but they still make a case for who they are very quickly. Like it still establishes this is their personality. This is the history they have with certain characters in certain parts of the world. And I remember the turning point. Like there's a point of escalation in the first Cold Steel. And I just remember as I'm doing that, I'm like, I fucking adore this game. Like the switch just flipped and it's like, I can't get enough of this. This is rad. And then I'm just all in from then. And it's like, yep.
Yeah.
It can be a bit of a slow burn, but
yeah, I'm not to
it's
that.
so worth it.
I'm not to that point yet, which is kind of why I'm like, like, should I have played one of the later games that looks more the way I want it to look, so that like maybe I get to that moment where I'm like, I need to consume everything that exists about this, and then have that drive me back to the beginning. Because the thing for me that was novel about playing Trails from Zero is like the gameplay of it, where it's like, you're moving around in an analog way, and then the way that you, like when you attack enemies, it moves them, like not in like a way where like in Final Fantasy Tactics, like Triple Strike or like I guess Triple Strike in Disgaea or something, where it's like you punch this person and then it's going to make them go to the next square over. It's like, no, it's like very organic. Like you hit this person hard, they're going to stumble backwards. The bugs are moving around, whatever. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. So you have to think about where you are, because whether or not they're going to be able to even get to you is a question. And so I was like, okay, so that's interesting. But like the story and stuff seemed like very, I don't know, vanilla. And it's so weird to me as somebody who has loved RPGs for such a long time, but when I really loved them like to their utmost, like was not recently. Like it was like Golden Age Squaresoft, or, older or something like that. But, to have something like this, and I've never really vibed with like Falcom stuff. Like East fans really did not like what I had to say about Lacrimosa of Donna. They did not want to hear that shit.
Oh no. Oh no.
They did not want to hear that shit from me. But I've just, this is the thing that Falcom has done that I've been the most interested, or that I've been the most into. But I think that's because it's the thing for me is it's largely because of the characters. It's like I like Lloyd. Like I really like Lloyd. He's a good dude, and he's trying to do the best. And the one thing that I love about that, and this is part of the reason why I am pleased that I started with Trails from Zero, is because like I started playing Trails from Zero. I guess I'm gonna get real with it. I started playing Trails from Zero, and I don't think I played it that far after George Floyd, and so I was very much like, fuck the police. Like I've always been like, fuck the police, because I'm a skateboarder and they fucking hate us.
True.
Like I've told people this might be one of the most out of pocket things I've ever said, but bear with me. I feel like being a skateboarder is the closest a white man in America can get to the black experience. They just fucking hate you, and they don't want you places that you are totally legally within your rights to be. And they think that you're going to do some heinous shit, and you're just trying to live. It fucking sucks. Cops have tried to steal my shit. They tried to steal my fucking skateboard. I'm like, nah. Like, anyways. My out of pocket thing is over, but it's like, it's a tiny fucking sliver.
It's a little slice of it.
It's a tiny,
I get what you're saying.
It's a tiny piece. That's as close as I can get, and it's still not, it's not even close to what they have to deal with.
It's not okay, and then you know that it only gets so much worse.
Yeah.
And it's like, yep.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was thoroughly in my, like, in the absolute heights of my fuck the police, which I'm still in. But the great thing about Trails from Zero is that game is about fuck the police too.
Yeah.
You know,
Even while you're explicitly in the system, it's
Yes.
also fuck these guys.
yeah, but that's the point. The point of
That
the
is
game,
the point.
which is what made me love Trails from Zero and what made me love Lloyd, is that he knows it's fucked. He knows it's fucked, and they're trying to do everything they can to be better. They're trying to do everything they can, not to do PR for the cups, but to be a representation of that system that actually serves people, that actually helps people. And I'm like...
And it does, because over those games and the subsequent games, people, like, you go back to Crossbell in, like, later Trails games, and yeah, they're talked about as local heroes because they help people.
Yeah. It's almost
It's
like,
just like
if
every
you
step of the way,
actually-
it's a barrier from the actual police.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I love that,
It's
because
like,
it's like, oh, like I played the game, I got the key, I fired it up, and I'm like, oh, I'm a cop? Damn it. And then it's like, oh no, like it's, yeah. This is
Trust
the
me,
point.
bro.
This is the point. This is the point.
Yeah.
And it's not set in America. It's just like, this is an example of what happens. This is an example of abuse of power and corruption and complicity and politicking and all of that shit, when like the motto is to serve and protect. And if you actually served and you actually protected, people wouldn't hate you.
Yep.
It's really as simple as that.
That statement, serve and protect, came in retroactively. That
Yes.
was never the intent.
Yes, yeah, of
That
course.
was an attempt at PR and smoothing it over.
Sure,
so, you know,
sure. But if you're going to adopt that mantra, do it. You know what I mean?
to serve and protect the status quo.
Yes. Yeah. To serve and protect the oligarchy. You know.
The ones writing the paychecks and letting us beat up people.
Yeah.
Yep.
To serve and protect wealthy white landowners. How about
There
that
you
one?
go.
But anyways.
That's it.
But anyways.
ACAB.
Yes. And part of
But
me
anyway,
is like,
I'm glad
and
to hear that you're into
does-
Trails.
Yeah. Part of that is like ACAB, and that includes Lloyd, and part of it is like ACAB, but like, come on. Lloyd's a good dude.
ACAB excluding SSS. It's fine.
Yeah.
I still need to play
They're
Azure.
de facto braces anyway. Yeah, I need to finish those as well.
You need to finish what?
Azure,
Those,
the sequel.
Oh, yeah. I started
Yeah,
playing it
I'm-
and then fell off.
I'm most of the way through 0, and I keep putting it down and picking it up every few months or so, which would normally mean like, ugh, I got to restart it. But no, you're able to follow it reasonably well. It's it's remarkable how much of it sticks with me. So
Don't they give you a summary when you start back up? I was trying to remember what RPG
They
I was
do.
playing.
There's-
Yeah.
there's also like a book which goes through, like it lists all your old quests and
Oh yeah, your
quick
bracer,
summaries
your
and
bracer
update
booklet,
it. Yeah.
or your SSS like logbook or whatever.
Detective handbook or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, the detective handbook.
Yeah, they're good about that.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So
But,
I
stick with Trails in the Sky. If I will say now, like, if you really cannot do it aesthetically and just really want to latch onto it, you have my permission to go and play Cold Steel 1
yeah.
and go from there. The problem is
I've thought about that a couple of times, being like, okay, what if I watch like a long form like breakdown on each of the games? So like I experience the story of them and then I just play the new one, because that's another thing for me where it's just like, man, this would have been playing like a back-to-back series of banger 50 to 100 hour JRPGs would have been like a huge selling point. And now it's like you do realize that I have a life, right? Like you do, like I do have other shit I have to handle, including running this podcast and also work, you know, for a living, and also take care of a child and stuff like that. Now, I will say this makes it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
This Steam Deck makes it a lot easier, which is why Cam got it for me, because he's like, why are you playing this? Like, this is Trails in the Sky is perfect on Steam Deck. And he's not wrong. He is not wrong. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out where the heck I can get some freaking blue septums so I can unlock some nodes for some people, because I gotta get moving.
you'll find them. Don't worry.
But
It's times like these I'm glad that I started in this business when I did, which was like late 2010. So I reviewed Trails when it hit PSP the first time and was like, holy shit, this is so good.
Yeah.
But then like when people
You've been able
finally
to
caught
slow
on,
burn for 14 years.
yeah, it's just like, oh, thank God I don't have to like have this kind of thing where it's like, Jesus Christ, where do I start? Well, you know, how long is it going to take me to go backwards? It's like, fuck, okay.
How many games are we up to? 12?
I played Trails
And
before
how many
it was
are
cool,
important? All of them?
Thank
Okay.
God for that. So I can
Yeah.
play Cold Steel, and I'm like behind now, but
you're not like 12 games behind, so
yeah. And it's just like I have so much gratitude for that. Also, it's like really totally solid. Like if you play it on your PSP or a Vita, if you have either of those laying around, like. But then the third game didn't come out either, so it's like, fuck, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the fact that for the most part, because I didn't have a PSP, I had to play it on PC, and I don't know, it's never, that's the style of game that just didn't feel right playing it on my PC. So it's like if I had, a Steam Deck or could get it on Switch, as was the case with Zero, then yeah, and I played all of Cold Steel on my PS4, so that just felt more natural for it. So
yeah,
PS4,
handheld's good.
PS3 as well, whichever ones it was on.
Yeah,
but yeah, it just feels like that kind of game. Yeah, it did eventually get re-released, but I'm just like, no, I got in when it released, so it would have been PS3. So yeah,
nice.
It's 4 games. I'd be shocked if they were all on the one. So,
oh man, I've got my hard copy of the special edition for Vita, for Cold Steel, where they did this thing where it's like, oh, it's only 2 games. We'll do a box and we'll put space for the second game in, and it'll be great. You know.
And then after the fact, they're like,
two or 3 more games later, it's just like, oops.
It was originally planned to be 2, and 1 and 2 are like,
yeah,
you can tell it started development as one game, and then they split it because it was too fucking big.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and then I feel like they were just after the fact. It's like, now we still have more to do in this with this character, this part of the world, etc. So, time skip a little bit forward. Here is 3.
Like this box gimmick would have been so cool if the series didn't outlive the platform entirely. Oh well.
Alas.
Oh my gosh.
The Trails of Cold Steel duology.
Yeah.
We're gonna hop
get a big connective box. Get a big connective box with 4 games. Yeah. Yeah, started at Xseed, and now we're with NIS. Yep. Still same translators.
No clean way to collect these games. I'm sorry.
It's not doable. But at least you can collect them in English in some fashion now, which was practically unthinkable for a long time. Mm-hmm.
No.
But we're here. It's there, and it's good. And more people should play it, myself included. I need to catch up. Trails is good.
Trails is good.
Definitely. All right. I guess I can go next if you want.
By all means.
I did.
How much?
I did want to ask you about.
Do we have, guys? Because I know. I don't know, Lucas, when you have to go.
I don't think I have like a hard out or anything.
Okay.
Just sort of the natural like 2 or whatever.
I won't let it go for too long. I've got one more thing I can talk about.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done.
Cool.
Unless Lucas and I talk about the thing that we were thinking about talking about.
Yeah, so a lot of what I've been working on lately has been like demos and previews and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I figured I'd just like pick a couple to talk about. So the one that's most fresh in my mind, the one that's kind of like, holy crap, this game actually does exist, is Metal Slug Tactics.
Oh,
yeah.
You played the demo, eh?
Yeah, I played it over the weekend. This is a game that it feels like it was announced a million years ago, and then just no news came out about it. But they even say this like in the game. It's like, hey, we're back on track. Like, good job, everyone. So the demo for that came out. The game itself, I think, is set to come out at the end of the year sometime. And it is fascinating because Metal Slug is absolutely not normally a game that's remotely tactical at all. It's a quarter munching, run and gun, Contra style kind of thing. It's been a staple of SNK for years and years, and it's always been one of my favorites. It's like, I love fighting games, but I'm not good enough at them, nor do I have enough time to really be like a king of fighters sicko or whatever. The Metal Slug, you just pull up a random one, and if you're playing it on console, you can probably have infinite credits and just kind of chill out and enjoy the silly animations and stuff. And it's just like, how does that translate into a tactics RPG? And it has way more depth and complexity than I would have expected, thinking of like, how does that math happen? So I guess like elevator pitch is, it's a turn-based tactical game that uses like small boards. So I kind of think something like Into the Breach, just in terms of how it looks. I wouldn't say like gameplay wise. Then it's also got like roguelike elements. So like you have your characters. The demo starts with 3. It's Marco and the 2 girls. I forget their names. And then they have 2 weapons. So they have their primary with infinite ammo. They have their secondary with limited ammo. And then they have these like abilities. So it's like, here's your passive abilities, and then here's your like ones that you can choose to use. And as you go through, you pick a region, and it's a map with little nodes, and those are your individual challenges. And each time you win, you get to pick from a list of 3 upgrades, which anyone who plays roguelikes knows. You beat a level or you level up, whatever, you get to pick from your 3 upgrades. It's like the thing now. So it's that. So what makes, I guess there's 2 things that kind of like are what this game really focuses on at its core. One of those things is like it really emphasizes moving around on the map. So when you first start, you'll kind of see things that look familiar in like that XCOM-y kind of way. It's like, oh, there's the cover. And then I can like move around, and then I can choose to attack. And then like, your ranges and your squares and things. But in this, the more you move in a turn, you will get like a passive cover. They call it dodge. But it's like, how do I explain it? It's like, okay, you're going to move 3 spaces, so you'll get +2 to your dodge. And it's like having cover wherever you are, almost. It's like wherever you're standing for the rest of the turn, you'll have 2 armor class, basically. So if you've got 2 of that, and then you go into cover, then you'll have 4. And it's just like automatic damage reduction of 4, as long as that cover exists. You'll also build up adrenaline points based on your movement, which is how you like cash in for like your extra skills or whatever. In addition to that, every character has synchronization as a permanent passive, and that is if you attack an enemy and that enemy is also within the range of another character's primary weapon, they will also attack. And since most of them just have guns, it's like a straightforward line of sight thing, unless the other character has like a grenade, for example, as their primary, which one of them does. Yeah. So it becomes this thing of like, okay, to maximize my turn, I have to make sure that this character moves around some number of spaces to build up dodge, and is also in a position to where either when they attack or when someone else attacks, they will sort of chain off of each other. And to kind of push that along, you can move everyone before anyone attacks. So you can kind of like pick and choose when to do things. You can like wait until you're ready. And then there's typically like a lot of enemies on the map to deal with. So there's a lot of just sitting there and looking at the board, at least for me, and being like, what the fuck? Where do I start to
How do I unravel this Gordian knot of a puzzle? Yeah.
Yeah. It was wild because I was like, I'm not used to thinking about this and looking at Metal Slug characters. This is fucked up.
But on the
And
other hand, it sounds like they've gone, how do we make a run and gun kind of shooter into a tactics game?
exactly, it's like,
And
oh,
instantly
of
you go,
course, yeah,
you say the movement thing affects the cover. Like, that's a good idea. That translates well. So you
yeah,
instantly had my attention with that.
exactly. And at first I was like, geez, this is a lot to think about. This is really hard and stuff. And then it finally clicked when it was like, well, oh, wait a second. I moved Marco like a pretty significant distance across the map, and now he's got like fucking 5 free damage that he absorbs for the rest of the turn. And it's just like, it clicks, and it's like, oh, okay, this isn't nearly as difficult as it seemed if I just like do what the game asked me to do. Um, and it was really neat. And then you kind of like get these different like active abilities. So it's like I can attack, or I can like do this thing where I'll give a different character an extra movement, or I'll let them attack twice, or like I'll use a completely different attack that has different properties instead of my normal attack. And maybe I don't set off like a chain of sync attacks, but I did something else that like got rid of a persnickety enemy or whatever. Also, like, it seems like a lot of the mission objectives are oriented around like, here's this big group of enemies, but we want you to take out these specific 3, and that's the objective. Or like, you need to escort a character to a location, and it ends up being more prudent to like ignore the enemies and be like, okay, hyper focus on like protect this person from dying, and that's the objective. It's not worrying about all the other stuff going on. And then there's actually like revive points. It's like you have 5 or 6. Like if your character dies, you spend a point, you bring them back at half health, and that's supposed to kind of last you the board. But if you do like bonus objectives in the level, that'll get refilled. So it's like a tactics game, but there's a lot of little things that you're worrying about instead of the bigger picture, which is like the opposite of what I'm used to. A lot of games like this. And then like boss time, and it's just this massive fucking warship like Metal Slug style, and it's like, oh Jesus Christ, what am I supposed to do? And it's like, it's literally eliminating chunks of the board as you kind of go around it, and there's enemies everywhere, and it's like, oh Jesus Christ, this is terrible. But then it's like, oh wait, I should be like just unloading everything I have on this giant boat, obviously, you moron. And then it becomes a lot more fun because it's like, it feels like Metal Slug. There's just shit happening all over the screen. And it's really about like just getting to the end and not worrying about like, oh, I'm playing Fire Emblem or whatever. Yeah.
That sounds awesome, honestly.
Yeah. And then like at one point I died, and I was like, oh, that sucked. That seemed really hard, and I was still getting used to it. And then you go back to the barracks, and there's little dialogue scenes, and it's like, you unlock the revival thing. So it's like, oh, it's gonna like kind of incrementally introduce more stuff for me to play around with as I play it. And that's where it comes in. It's like, oh man, I failed, but oh no, I'm back in the barracks and I have money to spend on abilities and so on and so forth. There's like unlockable characters and just so much stuff going on in this game. And once I sort of started to get it, I started having a really good time. Yeah. And the demo I think is out for everyone right now if you want to check it out. And it's like just a really tiny chunk of the game. Yeah. I figured you'd like
as the tactics sicko among us, or one of many. But like everything you said is just like, ooh, yes, give. Yeah. I need that.
I think .emu definitely has something special. It also makes sense how long it's been, because it's like they really crammed a lot of stuff into this concept. Metal Slug Tactics.
I dig it.
Yeah. So do you want to go, or I can talk about something else and then kind of pass it on? Or
we may as well alternate if you'd like. I've got one thing I can cover, or two.
Go for it, and I'll figure out what's after that.
Sounds good. So, did either of you ever play a game called Reus? Reus. It's a It's
I don't think
basically a
so.
god game where you play as a handful of giants around like a spherical planet. And the idea is, humans or whatever will pop up and build cities, and you have to then fill the various tiles around the world with different creatures, biomes, resources, etc. And these have different values, which the nearby villagers will then go get, and that will increase their power, and then have certain requests and things. So you're just, again, it's a god game, and you're just trying to, build up a planet that suits the people that are living on it, and to get, advance their needs and build up and gradually work towards like meta achievements and such. And
So like
yeah, it
black
was
and white, but with groups.
kind of. It was it was 2D kind of flat. It's interesting little art style thing. And yeah, it was the first game was pretty interesting. Didn't super click with me, but I did dabble on it on and off, and I had some good ideas with it. And then randomly, like, I hadn't seen much about this announced or like marketed or anything because small indie game. But about a week or two ago, I just see pop up on Steam, Reus 2 is now available. I'm like,
Ooh.
interesting. I go in and it's really highly reviewed, and they're just like, yeah, so just about everything that Reus 1 did, they have improved on here and changed it in a way that makes it a lot more approachable in certain aspects. And so just on a whim, I'm just like, sure, I'll give it a go. And the game slaps. It's really good. So you kind of have to go back to Reus 1 to talk about how Reus 2 improves it, I think. So the first game was real time of sorts. You had a certain time limit that you had in order to try and figure everything out. And most of that was balanced by a limit on resources, having to unlock like the higher tier tech things as you went. And also the movement speed of your giants, because they're big lumbering beasts and you've got a whole planet and you've got to move around. And then the entire planet was like a set of tiles, and you place one thing on a tile, and then if it's within the borders of a city, they will then collect it and get that bonus. But adjacency bonuses mattered quite a bit, so it was very much a case of how do I maximize my gains, my numbers, in the right numbers for this particular village's thing without, running out of resources or running out of space or ending up, another city coming and claiming it or things like that. So there was a lot to juggle. And so how Reus 2 has changed it is, one, there is no longer a real-time aspect to it. Everything is turn-based now. And that takes a lot, because it ended up being very, very puzzle-like. So that makes it a lot more thoughtful. You have time to sit down and go, okay, so how do I juggle my numbers appropriately here? And then they've leaned into the whole adjacency bonus thing by making it that each tile of the world actually has 2 nodes. So it's like 2 rows of nodes. And so each tile has more adjacency potential, like up to 4 if it's, in that. And then you can make it so you can add a 3rd row, because you create a mountain in this area. So there is a whole 3rd row of stuff. So you can go crazy with adjacency bonuses and such. And then you really have to start picking and choosing. It's like, okay, what's going to go here? What does this city need? What do they want? What kind of goal am I going for? What is my so on? And then you have limited amount of resources to spend during that era. And then once that era passes, you go to the next one, get a new set of resources. Once you reach a certain amount of resources of each particular type, so basically blue, yellow, red for different colors, those go into a city, and every time they hit a certain level up, that will give you 1 point of that color, and then that becomes a currency that you can spend either on getting more time to spend, like more turns, or special bonuses like, unlocking the ability to power up specific things on tiles, or completing requests give you the ability to draft new like creatures or minerals or whatever, which then lets you get even bigger bonuses and chains and so on. So it becomes this really elaborate kind of numbers game where you're just like, okay, I have this much space, and this many biomes, and this many cities. What's the best I can do here? I need these guys to tech up really fast because that's the objective. How do I get the most science out of this? Can I? No. Would it be better off going and getting points elsewhere, going to a different city, completing their request, so that I get the ability to unlock more things that might have the higher science I need? And so you're just going back and forth and juggling, and it ends up being this really elaborate kind of system of puzzles where I'm just sitting there going, all right, this is really neat. So very much kind of thoughtful sicko game. Again, just a lot of number juggling and crunching and sitting there and going, all right, making the best kind of production chains almost. But I ended up finding it really compelling, more so than I did the first game. So I played a fair chunk of that, got decently far. There's still a few things I need to unlock and plenty of like little meta achievements and such, because got to get like, to get the maximum scores on certain things, like you really have to like either pre-plan or just have a lot of things go right. And it's like, yep, this will take a bit, but I did just, it's just the game kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting them to get a sequel. I wasn't expecting to like the sequel way more than I did the first game. And yeah, so I just thought, no, that's neat. I'm glad this exists. I'm glad I took a chance on this. So I figured I'd give it a shout out. So that is, again,
Awesome.
Reus 2, made by Abbey Games, I want to say.
Yeah.
I've been looking at it on Steam, and it looks like it kind of has this like circular globe thing going on and separating like biomes almost. And I'm seeing like multiple gods in the background. Do you like shift? Or is this like a multiplayer thing?
No, it's single player, but you control, in this one it's 3 giants. It was 4 in the previous.
Okay.
And each one, there's a couple that you can select for each role. And then basically one of them covers your plants, one of them covers your animals, one of them covers your minerals. And then there's a couple of varieties within that. But they also have specific biomes that they can terraform the barren world into. And then there's like a big circular globe, and then you fill however many. So you go, okay, I want this planet to, it's 24 tiles or whatever. Cool. I want 8 ocean, 8 tundra, and 8 rainforest. Cool. And then you make that, and then you place where do the villages go down, and you go, okay, in these biomes, I have specific creatures and such that can work. Certain biomes favor certain creature types and certain like currencies and stats more. And so you kind of have to pick and choose and go, okay, what am I going to focus on here? How am I going to do that? What am I going to try and unlock? And then so a lot of little thought and everything into it. And you can make all sorts of like dumb worlds as a result of, having the different biomes and such. And there's a later upgrade where each of the giants will then have 2 different biomes. So you can, later on, you can create a second biome in a later age. So you can really spice it up and go, okay, you know what? This area, there was a desert. It's rainforest now. Hope you like teching up, because that's where you're going to get it.
Okay. That's cool. So are you managing the whole sphere all at once? Or?
Yes, all at once.
Okay.
And because it's turn-based, it's a little, like in the first game, it was a lot more juggling, moving this here, here, here. This one, it's just like, no, I want to build a plant on this. If the giant is on the other side, with the plants, he'll just gradually move around, and then you build that, and it gives you time to ponder what else you're going to do, or figure out, is this going to be enough and such. So it's pretty cool. And then it just has the, you have the big giant things, and it's like, these are the instruments of your will as the creator. And it's, cool. It's really neat. Nice. There is I also have to give it a shout out for having a toggleable option in the options menu for Southern Hemisphere mode, which makes the game playable to us Australians by making it so instead of the camera being on like the top of the planet, it's now on the bottom of the planet.
Nice.
It's extremely hard to play that way, even for me. But it's just like, I appreciate that this exists, you motherfuckers.
Nice.
It's got a cool style to it.
Yeah, cool. It does. Yeah, it ended up being a lot of fun, and I've put maybe a dozen hours into it so far, and I'll probably have like a dozen more before I've probably wrapped up everything. So yeah, it's really cool. Do rate.
Nice.
But yeah, from that, I guess, unless you got more questions about it, I'll pass the baton back to you.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
So one of the other demos I have played recently is for a game called Kill Knight.
Kill Knight.
Kill Knight. From the developer Playside. It looks like they also have Age of Darkness, World Boss, Mouse, which is that shooter I think we talked about at one point. Bunch of stuff I haven't heard of. But anyway, so this showed up because I'm doing a bunch of coverage for Steam Next Fest for Shack News, and they were just like, pick 5 games that look interesting to you. I was like, oh, this one looks kind of grungy. So it's kind of got this like corrupted VHS tape look to it, which is kind of neat. So it's got these like it's got like the curve of a CRT monitor kind of to it, and then it's got a bunch of like sort of like tape damage effects to it and glitchiness, and has this sort of like hell aesthetic where everything's kind of like red and harsh colors and things like that. It's like, oh, it looks kind of cool. And then it's kind of one of those like horde survival games, so it's got the like vampire survivors sort of momentum behind it. I guess what makes it interesting, and this is actually going to bring us back to the active reload thing, so that was really pertinent.
Wow.
So you've got...
This is why I'm one of the greatest to ever do it, is because of stuff like exactly. This is the stuff that you demand, that you get.
Just beautiful transition.
Like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, things come back. So you've got like a set of weapons. So you've got your like primary gun, which in the demo is just like 2 pistols that shoot really fast. You've got like a I guess crowd control-y thing. Which starts as like, I think it's supposed to be like a shotgun, but it's like a spread shot that goes really far. But it hits really hard. You've got a sword, and then you've got this other weird, like, I forget what it's called, but it's basically just like a big old energy blast ball thing that just goes across the screen. And each of these has like different properties or things it's good at. And then each one has like, so when you use your primary up, it goes to reload, and the active reload thing comes up. You can choose to either active reload with the primary weapon, or you can use your sword, or there's like a sort of absorption command, almost like Onimusha, where you're like, oh, the orbs are all over the place, let me just hold this button and the orbs will come to me. So you got that going on. I think there's 1 or 2 other things. And what you do during the active reload, assuming you do it successfully, will have a different outcome. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, if you use the sword, you get like a stronger sword attack, but it will also charge the meter on your crowd clearing thing. Or if you do the absorption on your active reload, it will power up your energy ball thing. Or you can just use the primary and it'll give that a little boost or a different effect in some way. And then like the orbs you're picking up will change based on how you pick them up. So it's like if you just go and touch them, that'll build up a sort of like basic strength kind of thing, I guess. Or if you absorb them from a distance, that builds your ammo back for the big explodey ball thing. And the ball thing has armor breaking properties. So if an enemy shows up and your normal attacks aren't hitting it well, then they want you to use that thing. So it's like this sort of like really fast-paced, almost like resource management kind of thing, almost like Doom was in some ways, or I guess Doom Eternal, to be more accurate. So everything's kind of feeding into each other. And then you have like a kill streak that you can maintain. Then there's just surviving, generally speaking. Like the crowd control thing helps you in a pinch, so you always want to make sure you're topped up on that, or at least have a few shots of it in case you get backed into a corner. You want the armor breaking thing, especially because if you kill something with that has armor, it will drop health, so that will keep you alive. So you want that. And crucially, when you go to pick your equipment, you can see that each one has like an unlock condition. So not only do you have to pay for it with the money you earned, you have to meet the unlock condition for it to be like available in the first place. One will be like, get a kill streak of like 700 something, which is really, really hard to do, turns out. Another one will be like, kill X number of enemies with the energy ball thing in one layer. So it's like really specific objective kind of stuff, which makes it to where it's like, okay, I want to unlock this thing, so I'm going to really focus on maintaining that kill streak on this run. Or I'm going to really focus on making sure I take out armored enemies specifically with the right weapon. Or I think another one I saw was like the number of healing nodes you pick up. So it can be any number of little variables that'll be like, if you want the next weapon, you need to focus on this. It's a pretty challenging game, so it's like it's hard to both survive and also focus on an objective. Like for me, it was like, all right, I'm doing really well staying alive, but I'm losing my kill streak a lot because just focusing on always constantly firing, and sometimes there will be like little lulls in the action. It's like you clear a wave and it'll take a second, or there will be like a chunkier enemy, and if you just focus on killing the chunky enemy, your kill streak's going to expire. So it's like, okay, well, I gotta stay away from that, still do damage to it, but also like make sure to like take out some of the other guys. And it's just like it's a whole thing depending on what your goal is. And that's kind of really it, at least as far as like what I've played so far, because I've only done a couple runs. But
And this
it
game is
definitely
what?
seems
This game
like
is called what?
Kill Knight in all caps, Knight with a K. So yeah, it's just got this like really hypercharged aesthetic to it. It's like, a lot of ways like Vampire Survivors, and a lot of the games that have kind of come specifically from that game's success have been more like passive in a way. It's like you're building up to not having to pay attention, right? So this one's kind of the opposite, where it's like, no, we want to give you things specifically to pay attention to.
Yeah, I think Vampire Survivors has made twin stick shooters cool again, and this seems more like that. So
yeah, exactly. So it's got the wave survival thing, but then it's got like here's all its own little gimmicks that it's piling on top of you. And then like there's what's the one that's like everything's kind of this like monochromic color except for like the reds?
20 minutes till dawn.
Yeah, so it's got a similar setup to that with like the levels you unlock. So it's like here's your starting level, and then you play more, and then here's like different like specific scenarios. And it seems to have that kind of thing going on. It's restricted because of the demo, so I can't say for certain. But yeah, it basically seems to be one of those like wave survival twin stick shooter things. But it's really, really interested in like making you pay attention to something different each time. And then utilizing the rules where it's like your active reload, but different based on what button you press when you press the button. Which definitely is like having me really pay attention to what I'm doing in a way I'm not used to from similar games. So that seems to be the hook. Yeah. I think it's
it looks
very
interesting.
cool. Yeah. It stands out like a lot of Steam Next Fest, not to be mean to smaller games, but sometimes you can like look at a game and be like, okay, visual fidelity was not, a priority here, and that's fine. Here, it seems like it has a very, very specific kind of style it wants to hit, and it hits that style, and it's got like a level of like, again, fidelity that looks big, I guess, or looks. I don't want to say professional because that's not what I'm looking for. But it has that level of production value to it that made it stand out.
That's pretty neat.
I think that's what I got.
Yeah. That's so Kill Knight. Yeah, I looked at the Steam page while you're talking. Yeah, it does look very cool in that regard. There does seem to be at least a little more, like a lot of arcade games these days. They feed into like the progression brain by going, here are unlocks and here are mini achievements and things you have to work towards in order to get it to kind of extend the life of the game and add variety and such. And I mean, I'm all for it, frankly.
Yeah. And this, I think it wants to make those more challenging to do instead of just like, Fortnite or whatever, where it's like, oh, you just play the game and when your run's over, it's just going to be like, bang, 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 bang. You did stuff. Congratulations for showing up. Even Vampire Survivors has a little bit of that at times, I think. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, just you unlock this character. So now play as that character and you'll probably unlock the next thing. But this, it's like, no, if you want the next shotgun or whatever, you have to like really dedicate your next run to this thing.
You're going to learn today.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's like other stuff that like, there's another part of the equipment that I didn't really understand, and there wasn't like helper text on the menu. So like there could be a whole other like angle to this game that I just completely like didn't understand. So yeah, it's definitely it's like I guess it's like, what if Vampire Survivors also kind of like took from Doom a little bit?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
I like both of those things. Why not?
Yeah. Both is good.
Both is good.
Both is good. Oh. The thing where it was like, oh, it builds up your damage if you collect the orbs. Of course, it's called kill power. How could I not
naturally
remember kill power?
Kill power. Yeah. I'm assuming in all caps, bold, italicized, etc.
At least bold.
Yeah. Nice. Good stuff. Cool. All right. You guys about ready to wrap? It's weird.
Pretty much.
Anyone has anything else?
It's weird because it's still slightly light outside because we started early, but we've been doing this for 2 hours. It's wild.
Oh, goodness.
That's wild. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here and make some popcorn or make some dinner. Have some.
Yeah, I'm going to build the PC that's you can see in the boxes behind me there. That's the whole pile of stuff, so excited for that.
I'm going to do something. I don't know yet.
Cool. Well, if you want to catch me around the internet, you can find me at Ribnax on Twitter and YouTube. You can find me at Blue Sky and Backlogged at Brian Barnett and twitch.tv/Ribnax. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. If you wanna keep up with what I'm doing, for the rest of this week, I'm gonna be posting deals to the IGN Deals account. So
hell yeah.
If you want to find some cool stuff, I'll be highlighting stuff that I'm into. So if you're into it, then you know what? You can just head on over to, I think it's Deals at IGN, IGN Deals.
On the e-commerce beat.
Yeah, it must be done.
Somebody got to do it.
Yeah, IGN Deals. IGN Deals on Twitter. So
listen to this man; he has good tastes, or at least tastes relevant to my interests.
Yeah,
that's what matters.
It's true. It's true. Anyways, that's what I'm up to. I've got. I might have a new show spinning up soon, but we'll see. We'll see about that. I'll let you know when there's more information to be had. But I will just say that we're going to be recording a couple of. Me and another mystery host are going to be recording a couple of shows, and if all goes well, there'll be a new show that I'll have that I'll be able to tell you guys about relatively soon.
It's awesome. Dope.
So, anyways, Chris, where can everybody find you?
Hi, you can find me. I am Chris Cornelius. You can find me on most places on the internet as Delfeir, Delfeir. My website is versusthebacklog.com, vsthebacklog.com, one word. Still sparse. Still don't write nearly enough for it. Also, a shout out to a recent update to a project that I have assisted on by a friend of mine, Most Acclaimed Games. You can find that at acclaimedgames.com. Does a full list of basically critical consensus, compiling a huge amount of like top lists or whatever to basically see where do we find various games as a whole, what's the best and whatnot.
That's
And
cool.
it's a very interesting project because I don't agree with the list at all, and yet that's critical consensus.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Lucas?
So it goes. Yeah, you can find me on the internet at Hokuto no Lucas. Most of my writing, including all of this Steam Next Fest stuff, that's going to be on shacknews.com. Funny timing, because in 2 days, the game I've been spending the most of my time with will be unembargoed, along with a new byline for me. So hopefully next week I will be able to talk to that.
Hell yeah.
But for now, just follow me on social and you'll see it there.
Nice. Good stuff. All right. That's it. That's it for episode 315. If you like the show, leave us a review or tell somebody about it. We don't advertise. From everybody here at the platformers, we hope you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there, because until next time, we are out.
Peace.
Goodbye.